Hey, if I hold it like this, are we chilling?
College Station. You guys know these guys. They need absolutely no introduction. Take it away.
Pass it back in! Pass it back in! Bulldogs! Bulldogs! 1, 2, 3. A-G-G-I-E-S! A-G-G-I-E-S! Final! Aggies! A! Pass it back in! Bulldogs! Bulldogs! 1, 2, 3. Beat the hell out of Notre Dame! Hey! Let's go, Eggs! Let's go, Eggs!
Love it! Love it!
Phenomenal.
Countdown to College Game Day starts right now. Howdy, howdy, howdy from College Station. What a way to start off the college football season, week 1, and the Fighting Irish are in town for a matchup that has only happened 5 other times in the two programs' history. We'll get you ready for that matchup and literally everything else that's going down this college football week 1. It's nice and toasty outside. Lyles has a little bit of a glow on his nose. That's how you know it's going to be a fire day. Welcome to Countdown to College Game Day, presented by Dr. Pepper. Christine Williamson here between two Harrys, Harry Lyles and Harry Douglas. We brought our little cowboy hats out.
Yeah.
Howdy. Howdy.
Howdy.
Somebody told me everything is bigger in Texas. Is that true? If y'all love College Game Day, make some noise. Okay. Sounds like
This
they're ready
side
to
is
live.
into it. That side, I don't know where y'all
We need to hear a little bit more. Let's go.
All right, so we're going to get you ready for this matchup. Obviously, as we know, it is a top 20 matchup between Notre Dame and Texas A&M today. HD, I'm going to start with you on this one. This is the first game for the new head coach, Mike Elko, excuse me. How do you feel like this one's going to go down? What do you expect out of him?
Well, I would say this. Number one, looking at this roster, understanding what he believes in, toughness, grittiness. I want to see that discipline. That's something that Texas A&M has lacked in the past. But also, what Coach Elko has preached about, you know what, guys? We got to live in the now. We can't worry about what transpired in the past. We got to leave all that behind us. Throw away your rearview mirror. Have tunnel vision. Focus on what's going on. But I would say this. In all 3 phases, you're going to see that physicality. Right, folks?
That's right.
All right, so a lot of expectations out of the quarterback for Notre Dame, Riley Leonard. He's going up against his former head coach, a couple dookies. So what do you expect to see out of the new quarterback in Notre Dame?
There's high expectations. He had a couple of ankle surgeries during this offseason, but if there was one person that could game plan against him, it's his former coach. Is it not? Is it not? Also got a young offensive line, so he's at his best when he's moving around. Coach Elko, this might be the most talented defense he's ever been able to coach. We saw how great he did at Duke last season. I'm excited to see what they're able to do in this matchup.
Okay, so you mentioned the young O-line. Both O-lines have a lot of questions, but the D-lines are stacked. So when it comes to the battle in the trenches, HD, what do you expect in the matchup tonight?
Well, number one, I'm worried about Notre Dame's offensive line. They had 2 guys, first round and second round, go to the NFL. They had a left tackle that got hurt. And we do know the strength of Texas A&M is that defensive line. A little birdie told me that there's this place called Cow Field. And they can make it a big difficult for the offensive line. If that's true, let me hear you. Sounds pretty good to me.
Okay, so one of our favorite things about Game Day is the fact that there's some creative people in the crowd sometimes, and that is shown with the signs. So everybody hold your signs up. We're going to try to figure out who we feel like has some of the best signs. What do you guys see out there? What are we looking at?
Well, I'll tell you this. The Irish make whiskey, not the playoffs. We just got back from Dublin. That is true.
Yes.
Let's see here.
Corso.
Where?
Right here.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
8,764 days since Notre Dame beat A&M.
Well, we have a happy.
That's great math.
We have a happy 14th birthday.
Happy 14th birthday.
And of course, Rudy was offsides. I see you down there, buddy.
Which one of y'all's birthday is it? Is it your birthday?
It's Catherine's birthday.
It's your birthday? Your sister.
Catherine,
Where's your
his little
sister? Where's your sister? Okay. Shout out to your sister.
Shout out to Catherine.
Great big brother.
All right. So we're going to play a little game, guys. It's called This or That. We're going to put Notre Dame against Texas A&M and talk about some things that are either better on each side. All right. We got Lucy Rodine here. How you doing?
Oh,
Can we get a gig 'em, a howdy?
Gig 'em. Can I get a whoop from the crowd?
That was cute. That was cute. Okay, so I'm going to give you some things, and you're going to tell me which is better.
Oh, easy.
All right. Who has the better iconic sign? Is it Play Like a Champion at Notre Dame, or is it 12th Man?
Honestly, I'm insulted by the question. It's 12 men!
All right. Who has the better mascot? I'm afraid of mascots. I hate them, but I mean, I guess we have to choose one. So who is better? I feel like you're gonna. This is biased. You guys got to get in on this as well.
No problem.
Okay.
The live human mascot is weird. It's not right. Give me my girl Rev. It's not right.
HD.
Well, I mean, I do like a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
A leprechaun?
I think I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that.
Oh,
I'm going with the leprechaun. I'm sorry, folks.
Sorry.
I'm going with the leprechaun.
Luck of the Irish. All right. Who is the better Duke import? Is it Mike Elko or Riley Leonard?
We can't say confidently that Riley Leonard would be here without Mike Elko.
I'm with her on that.
Yeah,
It's absolutely Mike Elko.
Wholeheartedly. I agree.
All right. The better saying, gig 'em or go Irish?
Everybody does go whatever.
Yeah.
Gig 'em is original. Gig 'em is different. Gig 'em is!
I'm sorry.
That was pretty solid.
I disagree a little bit.
What do you think?
Go Irish. I like
I'm
go
actually surprised
Irish.
there's no Notre Dame people here, by the way. There's not a green in sight.
It's good.
Gig 'em?
Without a doubt.
Howdy. All right, thank you so much, Lucy.
Gig 'em!
Let's look at some signs. Let's look at some more signs. What do we got out here? What do we got?
I like this.
Notre Dame's chances of winning are as real as Manti Te'o's girlfriend. How about that one?
Yeah.
What do you see?
Coach Elko used to be Amish. What does that mean?
I have no idea. I don't
Brett
know.
eats Lucky Charms for breakfast? Probably not. I think that's bad for dogs.
What is it? Somebody wants Des to sign his card.
Hey, we got Where's Waldo
Oh wow! Wait,
over here.
there's one.
I see you, buddy.
I just want to point out this man that has Desmond's a Desmond sign.
Where's Waldo?
He looks to not be a student here. He looks to be an elder gentleman. So
We
I
see
just
you,
want to say
brother.
shout out to you. All right, shout out to you
Hey,
right
we
there.
always know where we're at, don't
I
we?
also like this one. The harder I party, the better I play, baby. Y'all like to party in the crowd? Okay.
No, they haven't been up all night. Oh wait, there's a Notre Dame fan. We see one. We see you. Okay, so obviously this isn't our first college football game day today.
Sure ain't.
It is week 1, but we've had some other great college football games. So we're going to do a little game called First Impressions. They have emojis. I'm not sure which ones, but they have a lot of them. I'm going to give them something, and they're going to react with the emoji to tell me what they think about it. All right, so let's talk about the games on Thursday and Friday. Starting with Colorado taking on North Dakota State. They won 31-26. Shador and Travis Hunter. How did you feel about that?
One of these right here. Those are two of the best players in the country. Both could be top 5 picks. A lot of people get on me for saying that. I don't see the reason why not, especially Travis Hunter, best player in the country.
Well, let me tell you guys, I like to bend the rules a little bit. I've always been a rule breaker in my life. I'm going to move this to the Colorado defense.
Wow.
Because that's the way they played this weekend. The Colorado defense gave up over 440 yards.
How do you say
they
that?
were terrible on a poop.
Okay.
They were terrible on third down. They have to be better. That was something that they had to focus on in the offseason. Same thing, just a different
Okay, let's go to another matchup that happened between number 12 Utah and Southern Utah. I mean, obviously, we know this one was an absolute routing, 49-0. Cam Rising, your emoji. Oh, I love
Cam Rising. We thought this young man was going to be playing week 1 of last year, right? Didn't play, so we know he's healthy coming into this season. Utah had that defense last year that was so strong, couldn't capitalize on it because he was hurt. He threw 5 touchdown passes. I think he has 10 completions total on 15 passes. Like, that's efficiency.
Yeah, Utah has been waiting for Cam Rising to get back to the quarterback play, and he was everything as advertised. He has his tight end back, Brad Cute. He had 3 touchdown catches as well. So shout out to Utah. I think this team is going to win the Big 12.
All right, we'll see what happens. Let's go to Mizzou. You were there for that one. 49-0.
Let's see.
An absolute routing in that one as well.
I'm going to do this one a little scared-ish for Murray State. I mean, look, I will say this. So this Murray State team, guys, 65 new players on the roster. Like Eli Drinkwitz was saying, hey, I'm calling up Sean Clark from Matt State. I'm calling up all these different coaches, trying to find out how we even scout against this team. The thing with this Missouri team, extremely talented. We obviously know about Luther Burden and Nate Shield. We'll be talking about him a lot this year. That is a absolutely talented wide receiver room. And they got the 2 best transfer running backs from the Sun Belt, Marcus Carroll and Nino Well.
Let me tell you this. This is my emoji with smoke coming out of the nose because that's how high I am on Missouri this season. Luther Burton III, Brady Cook, you just talked about those transfers. But when you have a team that is trying to fill holes on defense from guys that went into the NFL draft and you're able to get a pick 6, I like where Mizzou is as a football team, Christine.
All right, let's talk about another matchup. This one between Western Michigan and Wisconsin. Wisconsin won that one 28-14. Tyler Van Dyke and that Wisconsin offense. How you feeling about it?
I'm putting a little doo-doo. Look, man, the thing about this Wisconsin team, when Luke Fickell took that job, Wisconsin has obviously been one of the more consistent teams across the Big Ten, particularly in the Big Ten West. Usually they flip-flop with Iowa in terms of who's going to win that division. I thought, given what he did at Cincinnati in year 2, especially given the new transfer portal, NIL, all those things, we would be far above where we're at right now.
Yeah.
Tyler Van Dyke, your boy, did not look great. No touchdown passes. I just think in a game like this against a team like that, you've got to show me more than that. This was a, I believe, 14-13 game in the 4th quarter. It's got to be better than that.
For me, I'm going to do the cry emoji because it's going to be a long season for Wisconsin. Tyler Van Dyke, he is too much of a veteran quarterback to not have stellar play in game 1 versus Western Michigan. Yep. So I'm not high on this football team right now, nor am I on the quarterback as well.
As long as he's not in Miami. Finally, we got North Carolina taking on Minnesota. North Carolina took that one at 19-17. How do you feel about the running back, Omarion Hampton?
Oh, about Omarion Hampton? Because I was going to do I'm going to get this out the way.
Okay.
For Max Johnson.
Okay.
When we did the Mayo Bowl last year, Mac Brown was speaking so highly of him and how much they thought that they were going to get out of him. So for him to have a season-ending injury in the first game of the season, it's a really tough thing to see. Omarion Hampton, though, that young man just became one of the most important players on any team in the country because of that injury.
This game came down to the last minute. North Carolina were able to drive and get down and get a field goal. Omarion Hampton, he is North Carolina football.
Yes.
So this is how I feel about him. Fire!
I like that it's the heart fire and not just the regular fire. That means it's like warming your heart.
With love as well.
Yeah. I'm glad that we're back. All right, as we know, there is a lot at stake here in week 1, and this is the best matchup today. Notre Dame taking on Texas A&M.
Notre Dame, primetime college game day coming to town. I don't think it gets any bigger than that.
Any competitor wants to play in a big primetime game.
This is what it's going to take to reach our goals.
One of the things we hope people see this week is a new brand of Texas A&M football.
That's the standard now.
It's SEC ball, so they're going to be good. They're going to be big.
We get to see right away how good we can be.
I think it's going to be the biggest crowd I've ever seen, and I'm ready for it.
Hopefully we can make it a nightmare for Notre Dame.
There you go.
Time now for Fansville Advantage, presented by Dr. Pepper. Now we're looking ahead to next week. Talking Texas at Michigan, 2 teams that made the CFP last year. HD, what do you think of Michigan's keys to winning this matchup will be?
I think number one, because we don't know what the quarterback situation is going to be, you no longer have J.J. McCarthy, who went 27-1 as a starting quarterback. So you're a little iffy in that department. It has to be great defense that creates turnovers, but also you have to run the football faithfully. We know Sharon Moore, who's now the head coach and the play caller, he's going to be stout when it comes to the run game. So run the ball on the time of possession, play great defense, create turnovers, keep the ball away from that prolific Texas offense.
So as we know, we were there for last year when Texas rolled into Alabama and rolled over Alabama. Do we think that it's likely or possible for Texas to do that in Ann Arbor?
It's absolutely possible. I think a couple of things are at play here. Obviously, HD had mentioned the quarterback play. Love how you said you got to run the ball faithfully. So wholesome of you, brother. I think the other thing at play here, though, is for Texas, Quinn Ewers. You already needed to be great this year, and we have high expectations of you. To me, those expectations are even higher with your top two running backs out, right? So that Isaiah Bond addition is going to be a really big one. That has to be one of the best connections, not just in the country, but it has to be one of the best connections that day against the Michigan defense that's got NFL players at every single level.
Sorry, we didn't talk about this at the top of the show because we were talking to our Texas A&M fans, but I do want to shout out all of us for our cowboy hats right now. We look good.
Hey, shout out my guy Adam at Cavender's. He hooked a brother up yesterday.
Is this your first cowboy hat?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Hey man, I spent $350 on this thing for y'all.
They're expensive.
I like it. It's
if
nice.
you do it right, they're very expensive. Okay, let's check out today's Crunch Time players brought to you by Cheez-It. And we start in Colorado. We've seen them play this week already. Yeah, that's how you say it. That's how they say it. That's how locals say it. Colorado.
Sure. Yeah.
Travis Hunter, HD. What did you see out of him in that matchup?
A top 5 pick in the NFL draft in 2025. You talk about the stamina and the guy that can just play offense, defense, make miraculous plays, make unbelievable catches. He is a highlight reel. He is someone that is, number one, he doesn't party, he doesn't drink, he doesn't worry about all that. When I talked to Coach Prime on my radio show, Freddie and Harry, I asked him, I said, young Deion Sanders versus Travis Hunter. Ooh. And he said Travis Hunter is by far the better player. It's not even close.
Wow. I love that. I feel like we should try to see if Harry can do what Travis Hunter does in the end zone. Also, love that LeBron James was also watching, which I didn't know he watched college football. He always in everything.
I mean, he might not. We know
he's an Ohio
LeBron's
State
been known to lie.
That's true. He tweeted, man, Travis Hunter is ridiculous. So shout out to the King for watching a little college football. Yeah. Let's go to Mizzou's Brady Cook. He threw for 218 yards with touchdowns, running Notre Dame in a run. I don't know what that says. Throwing to lead Mizzou to a 51-0 win over Murray State, which we talked about a little bit earlier. What did you see out of him?
He's really good. And I say that in the sense that he had a good game.
Yeah.
He was still disappointed with himself because he didn't hit on some of the deep balls that he thought he would. This is a team, again, we talked about this receiving core. Luther Burden, obviously great. Theo Weiss, Marquise Johnson is a name that you might end up hearing by the time the end of the year comes up. If they think if he really matures, he's the fastest guy that they've got on the field. They're really excited about him. But he is the type of leader. He's a hometown kid, really had to earn his stripes out there at Mizzou. This is a team that has been on a 2-year build, basically, and they put it all together very quickly. Like, that game was over in the first 6-ish minutes, so kudos to them.
I do want to shout out really fast Lee Corso. He's back. He wasn't in Ireland with us last week. He is back. So great to see him back on the road with us. Okay, so going into this season, HD, this college football season, unlike any other, who do you think you need to see the most out of this season?
For me, I'm going to go to Penn State's quarterback, Drew Aller.
Okay.
And I remember us being at the game last year versus Ohio State, and I'm saying to myself, when are things going to open up offensively for Penn State? And I think this year has to be that year. He has 2 phenomenal running backs.
Yep.
But at some point, you need him at the quarterback position to be the guy that he was highly rated coming out of high school. So James Franklin, open it up for Drew Aller so he could be dynamic across the board, especially in the pass game, because they have not been that in the past.
And for me, there's 2 very simple ones here. One is whoever starts at quarterback for Michigan, right? I mean, like that defense is still going to be one of the 5 best in the country. If you are the quarterback of this team, obviously you got Donovan Edwards. Mm-hmm. You got there's a threshold of what? 4 touchdowns you got to score, and you're in every single ball game. And then when we talk about that, there are 3 games on their schedule that we keep talking about where if they get one, you're a playoff team again. So whoever's quarterback for them, and then Jackson Dart. there's going to be games this year on their schedule. Hey, you might have to go out and win some of those for them. So he's already been good. He's already been great. He's improved every single year he's been at Oxford. But there's going to be some games, perhaps that Georgia game, where he's going to have to outduel Carson Beck.
All right, those are your Crunch Time players brought to you by Cheez-It. We're seeing the yell leaders in front of us. We're going to welcome Stanford Steve on in a little bit, but we're seeing the yell leaders in front of us. That was pretty impressive.
It was great. It was.
You were trying to do it.
I was trying to do it. I think I could. But it's not. They're not quite. Kappas. Or Q-dogs.
Their shoulders don't shoulder.
No, they don't.
What
they
up,
don't
Stanford Steve? How you doing?
Excellent. I see yell leader pants you got on.
Hey, he's showing ankles too now. He's showing ankles.
It's a little hot out here.
How do you feel about? Obviously, we just saw the yell leaders do their thing for our show to open our show. How do you feel about your ability to possibly be able to do what they do?
I could yell, but if there's any physical,
the dancing part.
Yeah, no,
not at all. Okay.
Skipping.
They do the arm thing.
Yeah, it's very involved, and I don't know if I could the time to practice that.
We'll work on it for next week.
Yeah.
I could get a little crip walk in there, and then I'll be all right.
Hey, he knows where he's at. All right, let's talk about the top games that are coming up this week.
Yeah.
Clemson at Georgia. Number 14, Clemson at Georgia. That one's at 12 p.m. on ABC. Georgia, obviously, they missed the playoffs last season. What do you think their mindset is going into this season?
Just look at their head coach. And my man, Kirby wakes up with a chip on his shoulder.
Yep.
So Georgia's going to be ready to go. They know what they are. I think Clemson needs a jump start to a game more than anybody in the country today. They have to come out, play fast. I do like the idea of Maffa as their back now. They didn't have an identity. When Shipley was there, they're moving them all the way around. They didn't get good at anything. When Maffa came in the game, he ran the ball. He's your bell cow, and the offensive line knows when he's in the game. All right, let's put our hand in the dirt and let's get after it. So I would expect them to rely on Maffa. Georgia doesn't have the defensive tackles that they used to. They got some good edge guys. The back end is phenomenal. So Clemson, if there's an advantage there, you got to take advantage of that middle, and I expect them to do that.
So when you look at this Clemson football team, and you see the last 3 years, they have not had a college football playoff game.
Yep.
What do you think contributes to that? What's the main reason for that?
I think the lack of playmakers. The transition. They're pretty lucky. Trevor came in after Deshaun. That's a good replacement. He met the expectations. He won a national championship. That's a lot on the next guy that comes in. And Cade struggled. I don't think he had the best weapons around him either. So it sounds like they shored that up with that. But any quarterback is not going to play well if they're constantly in predictable situations, right?
Yep.
The old adage, throw it when you think you're going to run it and run it when you think they're going to pass it. So I expect more balance now, like I said, with Maffa in that game. So I look at Clemson as having a better identity, and that'll help them moving forward with a jump start to the season against the number 1 team.
I want to talk a little bit more about you saying that you feel like Clemson has a better identity. What do you think? We've talked a lot about Dabo being a little bit old school, et cetera, et cetera. What do you think the mindset is for them moving forward? Do you think the program can go back to where we saw them 5 years ago?
Yeah, everybody wants to talk about the portal, but he's still recruiting at a high level.
Yeah.
And from all the sounds, they love what they have at the receiver position for the first time in about 4 or 5 years. So, you think of Clemson, I throw them in the wide receiver conversation. When they had Hop and Mike Williams and all those guys, they were phenomenal. So who's that next guy? I'm not saying they're going to be all pro caliber, but who's that next guy? But I feel like there is a buy-in. Dabo's great with his team. The culture, he talks about that. It's a factor maybe in the reason not using the portal. But I think they are confident in themselves. I think they love being the underdog, because they haven't been able to do that.
Yeah.
The expectations are so high. So now you get this whole offseason. You get number 1. You know they're going to play them to start the season. So I expect Clemson to play well today. I really do.
All right, we'll see what happens in that matchup. Let's talk about another big matchup. USC taking on LSU. Both quarterbacks obviously replacing really good quarterbacks. Who do you think has the most pressure on them going into this season?
Oh, that's a good one. I would say Lincoln Riley, just because of it hasn't. They won a Heisman. That's the highlight of his tenure so far, right?
Yeah.
Winning a Heisman Trophy. Your biggest games, you didn't play well. You got dominated. You started off, well last year, but you weren't tested. Your lines of scrimmage weren't tested. Then you go to Notre Dame and you get blasted. So when I look at what USC brings to the table, both teams, new defensive coordinator, lack of talent on the defensive side. I expect a lot of points in this game, but I look at Lincoln Riley. I mean, the toys that Miller Moss has to play with are phenomenal. And Lincoln's a great job of, if he doesn't know he doesn't have the advantage to line up and block somebody, they're going to run your go sweep. You get your jet sweeps, get the pocket moving to offset maybe what you have as a disadvantage up front. So I expect a high-scoring game. I believe SC can hang around with LSU.
I think one of the things for USC, you look at the last 2 years, allowing over 400 yards on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
You mentioned new defensive coordinator, DeAnton Lynn.
Yep.
How much of a difference do you think he can make this season in 2024 for the USC Trojans?
Well, they did a good job of getting new players, right? I don't care. You can be the best schemist in the world. If you don't have players to run your scheme, you're in trouble. And I think
Sound like a smart man, Steve.
And listen, coaches get paid a lot of money to come in and overhaul this thing, right? But it starts with the players. You got to have, every coach I talk to in the country is worried about their defensive line depth, right? Except maybe A&M. They love what they have, and they should. But when, SC, and you talk about now you're going to a conference transition where the Big Ten, there's Big Ten bodies out there. There's big boys. And that factored in with what Lincoln wants to do. And I think he's made an emphasis. He fired the defensive coordinator last year. He brings in Lynn from crosstown. So I expect him to be better, more buttoned up. But you still, when you go back and look, it was scheme. It was lack of tackling, lack of toughness.
Gap integrity.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So I do expect them to be more buttoned up. Huge challenge, though, because I think LSU has a top 3 offensive line in the country. So what does LSU do with their transition on offense? They got a stacked tight end room. Do they come out and just say, we're going to take 2 tight ends and we're going to run it down your throat? That's what I want to see.
And I thought the minutia in terms of the defensive coaching staff, because you mentioned Lynn, I thought the hirings of some of those position coaches, particularly Eric Henderson, who played under Johnson Uda at Georgia Tech, as well as Doug Bell, who I think is one of the best defensive backs coaches in the country. I think it's going to be interesting, and I've talked to actually a couple of USC players who are like, hey, we have really picked up on a lot from these guys.
All right, finally, game predictions for this one.
I think 20 points wins the game. So I like the under the total. I really do. I think both offensive lines are going to struggle when you talk about what the talent level is on the defensive line. A&M's got guys all over the front. Their back end in Notre Dame, they say they like their receivers. So we'll see if they can attack that. But is Riley Leonard going to have time? And on the other side, I love Notre Dame's personnel defensively. You got Cross up front. He's an All-American. Watts led the country in interceptions as a safety. He comes back. You bring Jordan Clark from Arizona State to shore things up in the secondary, and Morrison's the top 2 corner in the guy. I think it's him and Will Johnson. I don't think there's anybody in those guys' tier as far as corners. So I don't expect a lot of points scored. So I do like under the total. If I have to pick a side, I'm going to take Notre Dame because I think Riley Leonard's playmaking ability with his feet is the factor. Connor Wigman's great thrower, but I love that secondary for Notre Dame. And in third downs, how are you going to move the chains? You're going to have to scramble sometimes. You're going to face pressures with an inexperienced offensive line. So I think that's the difference in the game.
All right, we'll see what happens in that matchup tonight.
Y'all got to be hot.
You guys,
you got to be hot in those hats.
I was going to say, you're missing your hat.
When you look this good, you don't worry about how hot you are, baby.
We stay hot. Thanks, Steve. We'll see you later.
You got it. Thank you.
All right, let's talk about some other matchups that are going down this college football Saturday. Akron taking on Ohio State. The Buckeyes start the Will Howard era at 3:30 p.m. today against Akron. Lyles?
Just need to see a quick start here, baby. If you're Will Howard, get the ball through the basket, get some easy touchdowns there. Hopefully you're not out there for too long, knock the dust off. And, I think it's been something like 80 or 90 years since they lost to an in-state opponent. So Ohio State should be cruising.
That's a minute. That's a long minute. All right, Dylan Gabriel makes his debut for the Ducks tonight as they start their first season in the Big Ten. What are you looking in this one, HC?
Well, number one, I'm not worried about Dylan Gabriel. He's a savvy veteran. He's going to get the ball out quick, diversify it to all his weapons that he has. I want to see something on the defensive side of the ball. I want to see, can that defensive line be ferocious and get sacks across the board? That is the question mark I have for this team coming into the season. Can that D-line be dominant when they need to be? And today they should.
All right. right, another good matchup. Well, maybe not that good, but it is good for Texas as they are now in the SEC. High expectations. Colorado State taking on the Longhorns at 3:30. What are you looking at in that one, Lyles?
I will say, for Colorado State, they are improved this year. They're probably not going to win this football game, but they're going to be a team that everybody's going to have to take seriously. But, again, I'm looking at the quarterback position here. Quinn Ewers has to be an absolute stud, absolute superstar for this team because of their running back situation. Obviously, there's still depth, there's still talent there, but Quinn needs to be one of the 3 best quarterbacks in the country if this Texas team is going to get to where they need to be.
All right, Kalen DeBoer at Alabama finally kicks off tonight at 7 p.m. in Tuscaloosa against Western Kentucky. HD.
Welcome to Bama, Kalen DeBoer.
Alabama.
There's no better way than to start it off with game 1. But let me tell you what I am concerned about. Okay. Western Kentucky, do not sleep on them. One of the better passing offensive units in college football the last 3 years. But as they say when we're down at Bama, roll tide roll.
Don't sleep on them.
Jalen Milroe is going to millie all over people today.
All right, and finally, the last time Penn State was in West Virginia was in 1992. Nittany Lions on upset alert, Lyles?
Yes, very much so. This is a West Virginia team that was picked last in the Big 12. Last year, they were probably a quarter and a half away from actually going to Dallas and playing for the Big 12 championship. They were picked 7th. Neil Brown and his team are upset about it. They were pumped up yesterday because the great Pat McAfee was there. They are going to make things happen.
All right, it'll be a good college football Saturday, and of course, we're here.
Notre Dame has a new quarterback as Duke transfer Riley Leonard announced he is joining the Irish.
He brings a huge component to the offense. He really spreads out our playbook. He's got a great deep ball and run. He has a lot of versatility with our offense.
I got to see Riley firsthand, so I know exactly what makes him difficult. He's truly a dual threat weapon, and then obviously a kid we got to spend a lot of time trying to make sure we can contain and corral.
Wigman to the end zone. Touchdown, Aggies!
He can make deep balls, short throws, but what surprised me is like he's a runner too a little bit. He's sneaky athletic too, you know. Some of his cuts he makes when he's running is pretty good.
We're expecting a really good quarterback. Makes good decisions, can extend plays if he needs to. Is really precise with where he puts the football, so we're going to have to try to affect him in different ways.
11 guys on offense chasing the same goal. I mean, it's going to be pretty scary. It's going to be hard to stop.
You know why we're here. That's right. What?
That was great.
Thank you. Texas A&M welcoming the Fighting Irish to town. All right, let's talk a little bit more about this matchup because a lot of expectations, a lot on the line in this top 20 matchup. HD, when it comes to the keys to this game, what are you looking at?
I think for Notre Dame, number 1, can you protect your quarterback, Riley Leonard, and also create avenue and lanes for your running backs to be able to run through? And also, when I look at Notre Dame, I talked to Marcus Freeman a lot this offseason. One of the things that he wasn't pleased about with his team a season ago was the explosive plays through the air and the lack of those explosive plays. Can they be able to get some of those today? They got some transfer wide receivers in, but I'm really looking forward to this matchup because this is my first time at Cal Field. And it's going to be live.
Yeah, it's going to be lit. Lyles?
I think the key early, and we're going to find out the result of this game very quickly, and I kind of agree with Steve that it's going to be a lower scoring ball game. If this A&M defensive line, to your point about Notre Dame's inexperience on the offensive line, that is a mean group. And Mike Elko knows how to get the most out of those guys. If they're able to create turnovers and get this crowd behind them, I think that this could be done early.
Done deal?
Yeah.
Okay, so what are your final thoughts? Who do we feel is going to win this matchup?
I'm going with A&M.
Okay.
I'm going with A&M. I'm going with the home team. The crowd's going to get them into it. They're going to be turning the football over, possibly.
I'll tell you who I'm going with.
Where is he going?
I have no idea where HG is going.
Him right here.
Oh, wow, look, he's...
Oh, wow.
This is who I'm going with today.
Notre Dame fan.
He's going with Notre Dame.
This is who I'm going with. Right here. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish, ladies and gentlemen. Right there. That's who I'm going with.
All right, let's take a look at who the fans chose in this matchup. 56% of the fans chose Notre Dame.
Interesting.
So you're going A&M.
I think they're going to gig them.
Do you know what that is?
Yes, from TCU, they get the little deal, yeah.
What?
Google it.
No. Do you know why it's called gig them, and why they do this?
Yeah,
Well, how about you just tell us,
Because the
Christine?
Horned Frogs.
What?
Yeah, because the Horned Frogs, they like gig what they said what you're going to do to them.
And they stick them with basically like a fork.
Yeah.
That's how you gig. That's how you gig.
Take a right fork in the road.
Okay, you got Notre Dame, you got A&M, I'm going Notre Dame, and the fans have 56% Notre Dame. So, I don't know, you're kind of odd man out. And you also look like you're wearing a little bit of a Texas A&M color.
You are.
Did you do that on purpose?
Gig them.
Thank you guys for watching Countdown, the game day presented by Dr. Pepper.
That shall be gigged.
It's week 1, guys.
Giggity, giggity, goo.
That looks like there's blood on those fans. But we'll see you guys next week.
Hopefully not, Christine.
Sweet Caroline. So good, so good, so good.
What are you doing?
Yeah, let's go.